And we're back. I just want everyone to know this video is dedicated to Ben Fritz, Jack Nisa, and Rolfe Winkler. Your MAGA hats are in the mail, you covert operative-based motherfuckers. Now, for those of you who are out of the loop, these exceptional journalists, these exceptional individuals, just laid another brick in the road for Trump 2020 on behalf of the mainstream media in the form of an article entitled Disney Severs Ties with PewDiePie over Anti-Semitic Posts. That's right, these guys just red-pilled over 53 million people, telling them that the mainstream media is just full of shit. The journalists in question went over 6 months of PewDiePie's content, starting in August 2016 to the present, and presented 9 pieces of content that they claim promotes anti-Semitism. An archive is in a link in the description below. Now, mind you, that is 6 months times 30 days on average. 9 pieces of content they found. Just to, contextualize things. Now, apparently the most egregious bit of content is a video where PewDiePie paid someone on Fiverr to... well, you're just gonna have to see for yourself.
I like the editing.
Subscribe to Keemstar.
Now, first some context, because we wouldn't want to continue without any context, now would we? First, Fiverr is a website where freelancers sell their services for a small fee. For $5 in US currency, I guess if this is any example of the website, it's where you can get content like this.
Hello, Jesus here. Just want to let you all know that Hitler did absolutely nothing wrong.
That was also from PewDiePie's original video, and anyone who is even remotely internet savvy is aware of who Keemstar is. But just for clarity's sake, we're going to cover him very briefly. Keemstar is a YouTube gnome best known for Drama Alert, a show that he hosts. Technically, Keemstar doesn't own the Drama Alert channel. He uses a proxy because Keemstar is actually banned from owning a channel on YouTube. This is the same Keemstar that managed to make a 60-year-old man cry on Twitch with baseless and unfounded accusations that he was a pedophile. Accusations that Keemstar later had to apologize for and retract when it flew over the internet at large like a lead balloon. Just an idea on exactly the type of person Keemstar is. Essentially, Keemstar is shit. Everyone knows he is shit, and that is why PewDiePie had them include that last bit. Because it's funny, and because PewDiePie is a comedian, and mocking Nazis is funny, and analogizing things to Nazism as a joke is just as funny. PewDiePie is not the first one to ironically dress up as a Nazi for humor.
I want to embrace my inner dark side. I want to look and feel the part. I want to go all the way.
No, okay, this didn't work. I'm gonna take this off now.
Hans, are we the baddies?
And in fact, that wasn't even a Nazi uniform. It was just a military uniform he wore. And so now we're left with the press coming out with all these additional articles slandering PewDiePie in almost exactly the same way. The original Wall Street Journal piece was a social justice dog whistle. One outlet performs the smear piece, and the other ones, whether to get clicks or as a way of virtue signaling, source it for their own articles. We saw similar behavior when BuzzFeed wrote a piece about the horrible Trump dossier, and then CNN used reporting on BuzzFeed as an excuse to spread information about Trump in the dossier. This attack on PewDiePie was a very clear attempt to damage PewDiePie financially, severing his ties with the Disney Corporation, which are no strangers to rumors of anti-Semitism, largely circling around the founder of the company, Walt Disney. In addition to this, YouTube has canceled its second season of Scare PewDiePie and removed PewDiePie from the Google preferred advertising. The question becomes, why would anyone go to such great lengths to attack anyone? Why would the media go to such great lengths to attack an internet celebrity? Well, it's simple. PewDiePie is the face of the threat of new media. PewDiePie is a Swedish-born YouTuber living in England. He built his audience from the ground up and is beholden to few, if any, of the legacy media connections. This is nothing new. We saw similar attitudes in Gamergate when it came to Total Biscuit versus game journalists, where game journalists and outlets were beholden to publishers for review copies and early access to games, to the point where they whine when they are no longer considered worth the effort of sending review copies. Total Biscuit holds such influence that publishers actively sought him out, and he was free to have his own opinion about their games without being beholden to these same publishers. He is actively disliked by the gaming press because he is a threat to their influence and their worth. And PewDiePie is in a very similar situation. He has influence over a vast amount of people, and very few avenues to be influenced himself. His entire cult of personality was built upon his fans. It was not the system of legacy media that promoted and made PewDiePie big. It was his own appeal and ability to gain an audience. And that is a very scary threat to the legacy media. How do you control someone like that? Someone who cannot be shamed or threatened. Obviously, you attack his platform. You attempt to deprive him of his platform. And this isn't the first time the mainstream media have had a dig at PewDiePie. However, in the past, he has deigned not to respond to the mainstream media's attempts to slander and smear him. But I think this time, they've woken a sleeping giant. PewDiePie released a video addressing the articles and of course the reasons for why he's worthy of such attention, which falls in line with a lot of what I just said. And then he followed up with this.
Nice try, Wall Street Journal. Try again, motherfuckers.
Yeah, looks like you've got him running scared, mainstream media. And of course, this prompted a response from the media itself. Two of them, one from Polygon, a game-related outlet, and another is from The Verge. We'll look at both of these articles. From Polygon, you have PewDiePie and Trump aren't hurting the press, but they desperately want to, by Ben Kuchera. Mind you, this is the same Ben Kuchera who tried to get an employee fired from Dick's Sporting Goods, of all places, for saying bad things to him on Twitter. The media is not scared of PewDiePie, and this is not personal. Kjelberg's direct response video also makes the claim that the negative articles are written because the traditional press is scared of his influence and power and are trying to limit it. But then Ben goes on further to write below, but what YouTube and Kjelberg's other platforms can do to a much greater degree than the Wall Street Journal can is galvanize supporters. Donald Trump weaponized his Twitter account pre- and post-election, taking out his frustrations on his critics from a place where they could not touch him. That emboldened his fans to do the same, cyberbullying members of the left and other outspoken anti-Trump critics who dared cross him. So I have a question, Ben. Which is it? What is it? Are you unafraid of his influence, or aren't you? And then you have The Verge. Trump and PewDiePie are using the same playbook. Ben Popper writes, "The most powerful posture for a modern media figure is to play the martyr. Just after noon today, PewDiePie, the biggest star on YouTube, released a video in which he half-heartedly apologized for his use of Nazi imagery and anti-Semitic language, blamed the media for unfairly targeting him, and teared up as he thanked his fans for their support. Less than an hour later, Donald Trump kicked off a press conference with a long monologue railing against the media for criticizing him, blaming them for the dysfunctional state of government, and bragging about the size of his fan base. And there's a reason they're alluding to Trump so much, because of course everything is about Donald Trump. And to an extent, they're right. Trump and PewDiePie have direct access to their audience. They don't need the press to spread their message. They can put out a counter to the media's narrative on their own, through their own platforms. A man with 53 million subscribers just told his audience, "You are full of shit." That spawned off a live stream with YouTuber Sargon of Akkad to discuss this very issue. And Sargon was able to gain access to a wide audience of other YouTubers that normally would never bother with politics, who have audiences that are in the millions. And so Sargon and his views get exposure to those audiences. And those other YouTubers who are on Sargon's live stream tell their audiences that the media is full of shit. So we have something of a Pyrrhic victory here. On one hand, the mainstream media has caused a bit of a hiccup in the career of the world's most popular YouTuber. And on the other, you've got about 53 million people or more red-pilled about how shit the mainstream media is. And this is why Trump won. The media thinks it's got the same power it held 8 or 4 years ago. It doesn't. The election of Donald Trump proved that point. Gawker being sued into bankruptcy proved that point. Trust in the media is at an all-time low. You would think that maybe it would be time to build up the old war chest of good faith. Perhaps now would be the time to remove editorializing and politics from every piece of news being reported. Perhaps now would be the time to renew people's faith in you. But as the press has just demonstrated in this smear campaign against PewDiePie, it's not interested in that. What it's interested in is attempting to fight for its power by silencing rising platforms and influences that directly take away from their power. And all that is going to do is take away from their credibility and influence. It is what is going to lead to another 4 years of Donald Trump. It is what is going to make it impossible for them to report the truth when it really matters, because no one is going to believe them because of how flagrantly they flaunt the public trust. Public trust is earned. It is not a right that one gets by calling themselves a journalist. It is something that is built upon between a content producer and their audience, and it is being squandered by the likes of these assholes who think that just because they put it in print, it should be held as the goddamn one and only truth.